Welcome to the Watch Society. Welcome to the weekly watch news roundup. With LVMH Watch Week behind us, we can start focusing on other brands that have been releasing watches. First off, we have the Fears Studio Underdog collaboration, the Gimlet. It brings the Brunswick 38mm case from Fears and the Studio Underdog Series02 dial together to create this fun, unique watch they call the Gimlet, based off the classic cocktail of gin and lime juice. This watch is being released for the British Watchmakers Day on March 8th, where all the independent brands in England come together and show off the wares. Now, it's a beautiful watch that, unfortunately, you have to be at the watch show to get. But it's a great little surprise for those in England that are part of the independent watch movement there. It's going to have a Salida movement in it instead of the La Joux Parade that's usually in the Fears Brunswick. But what's really special of the 200 that they're making that you can only get at the British Watchmakers Day is the price point, which is at £1,000 or about $1,200 US. That is about a third of what the Brunswick usually goes for, and it's a fantastic watch. And they did get rid of the bracelet, put on leather to save some money there. But honestly, what I usually expect from Fears is a much higher price point, so they're really paying fan service, that bringing this price down for the 200 people who are lucky enough to get it, to be able to enjoy something from two independent British watch brands that you have to be at the British Watchmakers Day for. So kudos to both of those brands, for Fears and Studio Underdog, for giving something to the community for this special day at a much more approachable price point than you usually see from Fears. And honestly, it looks great. And the cocktail it's named after, a classic gin and lime juice cocktail, is absolutely delicious. It's one of those beauty and simplicity cocktails. Next up is another limited edition from an independent brand. We have the Autodromo Monoposto Mobil 1 Racing Team limited edition. It's a three-hander, 43mm, but only 10.8 millimeters thick, so it's a little wide on the wrist, but it is thin. This is a re-release of a style that Audodromo put out earlier on its existence, but haven't seen it in a while. It's been a lot about the Group B rally from them, and those look great, but it's nice to see them get back to an older style. It's kind of a classic three-hander, and it's made to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Mobil 1 Racing Team, or the Mobil 1 synthetic oil. Now, this is very much a insider watch for those who appreciate the logo and Mobil 1 synthetic oil, which is a great product and used in most sports cars. And that's the entire Audodromo theme, is sports cars and racing, so it absolutely fits with them. Now, it's powered by a Miyota movement, so the price point is very approachable. It has a steel version at $875, and only 100 of those are being made, and a gold-plated one for a little bit more at $950, and only 50 of those being made. So it's a fun little limited edition they put out. Definitely easy to get if you really enjoy that kind of thing. If you're a Mobil 1 race fan, it's a cool little watch. And I love what Audodromo does in general, and keeping to the racing theme that is in all of their watches. Now, as much as that Audodromo was a very approachable price-pointed watch, Timex, which is usually the king of approachable prices and watches, has released probably the most expensive watch they've ever released. I want to get this name right. The Giorgio Galli S2 Ti Titanium. It's obviously named after Giorgio Galli, which is their lead designer, and he has put out a few different watches that are a lesson in minimalism, and they're honestly beautiful, and they've gone from $500 to $1,000 to now $2,000. It's Salida powered. It's made in Switzerland, so there is a reason for it not to be the typical Timex quartz or Miyota powered at a lower price point. But $2,000 is pushing it for the brand. If this was not a Timex and you're looking at it, I think it's a beautiful lesson in minimalism. The dial is just this flat gray with barely anything on it, but it is honestly beautiful to look at. It's distinct, yet has almost nothing happening on it. That's a lesson in design that I don't think many people could put together and have it look good. There are only 500 of these, so Timex is not trying to flood the market with something more expensive, but they are reaching, and I think it's kind of cool when a brand tries to say, hey, let's experiment a little. And the mid case is this forged carbon black mid case, and it reminds me a lot of the Code 1159 case that you see on the Star Wheel or others from that line. And it's beautiful. The case is beautiful. The dial is gorgeous. The lesson of less is more on this watch is a statement. The fact it says Timex on it is probably what's going to be the detractor for a lot of people because of the price point. To add something else is they also used a toolless design bracelet. They're not the first to use this design, but they're one of the first. There aren't many people who have used this bracelet design with the toolless changing of the links. I wish more brands would do this because honestly, I resize bracelets a lot between me or my wife wearing the watch, so I end up with scratch marks. Having a toolless design to resize the bracelet is just one of those nice things, like having a quick change bracelet. It's one of those I hope we see a little bit more from some brands, but we'll see. Now, I did have to check to see if this was the most expensive watch Timex has ever sold. And for that, I asked the Timex expert at Heritage 1854. Ark over there is the guy to ask about anything Timex or to research anything Timex. And he came back to me with a watch I never knew existed because it only came out in the Japanese market, which was a Timex and Beams solid silver camper watch, which came out in 2021 and was about $2,000 also. So it's not necessarily more expensive, but is certainly right there with this one and was made in solid silver. It's funny to see what happens. Timex is popular in Japan, so they do put out some limited editions in Japan that we never see, and this is one of those that I kind of wish we saw over here. A solid silver camper watch from Timex is just one of those weird things you just want to see. It's like the platinum swatch. It's kind of cool it was made. Maybe we'll see one over here one day. Transitioning to a watch that is certainly not an approachable price point at all is the Richard Mille RM 1602 Extra Flat. We were talking about this watch in the chat for a little bit, and even those that were kind of Richard Mille fans looked at this watch and were not fan. They didn't get the geometry. They didn't like the size. I can honestly say I do not like Richard Mille for the price point. Sure, a fun, funky watch is cool. There's nothing they do that's worth the $135,000 price tag on this watch. It's an automatic movement. Most of the finishing is microblasted. It's all by machine and CNC. Sure, there's some hand finish on it, but $135,000. The only thing you're doing at that price point is being able to have some conspicuous consumption on your wrist to say, I have money, look at me. You come across as nouveau riche. You come across as a complete tool. Honestly, if you have Richard Mille on your wrist, I'm judging you for that. I'm sorry, it's just how I feel. You could have gone with something very interesting or hand finish or craftsmanship, or if you want something funky, go for a Hublot. These exist just to say, I have money, look at my wrist. That's why they're big. That's why they're loud. Congratulations, you funded some Formula One teams getting some sponsorship. I like Formula One, so I appreciate that. But next time, get a Grand Complication Patek or something like that. Or I don't like to judge people how they collect, but this is one I'll judge you on. This is an ugly watch. You should not be spending $135,000 on it. That's it. Now, to all those who celebrate, I want to wish a happy Lunar New Year. As someone who doesn't celebrate, I think it's cool that watch brands have put so much emphasis on this and tried to speak to the market of those who do celebrate the Lunar New Year and coming out with special watches every year for that. I wish somebody would put out a St. Patrick's Day to celebrate part of my heritage. Maybe we'll see that one day, but since they don't do that, I do appreciate when they do things for other people's cultures because it's something to be celebrated. And with a market for it, a lot of brands have put out a year of the Snake Watch. The list is extensive. From brands like Vacheron Constantin, Frank Muller, Hublot, Longines, IWC, Arnold & Son, Swatch, Baume & Mercier, Breguet came out with a beautiful one, Blancpain and Parmigiani Fleurier all put out Year of the Snake watches. But my favorite, as somebody who doesn't celebrate the Lunar New Year, was the Christopher Ward Seconde Year of the Snake watch. Because yes, it has a snake on it, but the snake comes from the old snake game we had on our Nokia phones growing up. It was my first phone, big and bulky. I know it makes me look old. I'm okay with that. I have gray hairs. I'm a little old. But that game was one of those that you sat there and played because it was one of the few games on your phone you could have, or in my case, actually in high school, in a TI-86 graphing calculator. It was a game I used to sit there and play when I should have been paying attention in math class more. But I love that little graphic. I love seeing the snake go. So it is a combination of Lunar New Year, Year of the Snake watch, and a nostalgic watch for those of us who grew up playing it on our graphing calculator or our Nokia phone. I absolutely love it. It's a great use of a watch that speaks to two different cultures or two different reasons of why you would like this watch. And that is not something any of the other Lunar New Year watches did, which, because of that, it's my favorite. And at a price point of about $900 on leather or $1,200 on bracelet, it's definitely an easier one to swallow than the Vacheron Constantin or the Breguet, though obviously the craftsmanship level is a bit different. This one is fun and I really enjoy it. Pre-orders for it are open till February 10th, so if you're interested, you still have time to grab one. So for a weekly news roundup, we should have one more piece of news, which is part of the Watch Society news. We also worked with Christopher Ward, and we just released the pre-orders for our Aventurine Bel Canto. We're able to work with Christopher Ward to get their Aventurine dial that they've put on their Moonphase watch that won a GPHG award and the GPHG award winning Bel Canto, bring them together and have a beautiful Aventurine dial watch. It has Roman numerals on it to match the logo of the Watch Society Roman numerals, and on the back has our updated logo. Also, the on-off indicator is in red, which is a homage to the Atlanta Watch Society, where we started, where the chapters colors are red and black. So we have a little bit of red in there for the OG guys who started everything. But overall, it's meant to be a watch that brings everyone from the Watch Society, all of our worldwide members, plus our different chapters together to have a watch that they can see. I think it looks great. I've been excited to show this off. It's absolutely beautiful. It was a pleasure to work with Christopher Ward to bring this out. The price point on this one is going to be $45.40 on bracelet, $42.25 on leather, and $4,700 for both combined. We are taking pre-orders for those who are interested in the watch right now over the weekend. If you are interested in it, you can go over to the Watch Society official on Instagram to see the information for signing up. I'll also have it in the description here. We are taking pre-orders for our members, and then we are taking any more for friends and family. If you are interested in this watch, want to become part of our friends and family, we're happy to have you. I hope you appreciate the work that went into this. I know it's a little self-serving to bring this up in the news, but it's part of the watch news, and want to make sure that people can see what's going on around here besides what's going on in the wider watch world. Thank you for joining me on this week's Watch News Roundup. What was your favorite watch that was released this week? What news did we not cover that you'd like to see or would like to see us cover in the future? Let us know in the comments, and have a good one.